Welcome, one and all, to Pacific414 episode review. I am your host, Mike, and in this episode, I am going to be talking about the season finale of Hawkeye called So This Is Christmas. And before I get any further into this review, I do want to apologize about the mic audio. Unfortunately, the mic I normally use has decided it's seen better days. So, this is only temporary until I get a new mic set up. So This Is Christmas begins right where the last episode left off. And we see Eleanor Bishop and Kingpin having a conversation. And in this conversation, Eleanor tells Kingpin that she is stepping away from her line of work, meaning working for him. And of course, Kingpin tries to remind her that he essentially has taken care of both Eleanor and Kate since Eleanor's husband passed away, Kate's father passed away. And that he also brings up the fact that at the time of her husband's death, he had a pretty sizable debt that had to be paid, and Eleanor says, yes, and I've paid that tenfold. She says, I can't do this anymore because Kate has gotten too deep into the situation, so I am stepping down. Next we see Maya come after Eleanor's already left, and Kazi's there, of course. And Maya is there to see Kingpin, and she says that she needs some time off, that she needs to step away. So Kingpin allows it, but then he talks to Kazi and tells Kazi, Maya has turned on us, and the next thing we need to do is to keep an eye on her and make sure that our next few steps aren't thwarted by anyone else. So we then cut to Clint and Kate, and they're having a conversation about what's going on, especially after Kate gets the video from Yelena about her mother's meeting with Kingpin, and that's when Clint looks at the video and says, that's the guy I've been worried about, referring to Kingpin. So Clint tells Kate it's time to make some extra arrows and some extra dangerous arrows. So we get a little bit of a montage of Kate and Clint making various acid arrows, explosive arrows, magnetic arrows. You know, they're using pin technology to be able to shrink, various objects. They're using Stark technology in order to do this as well. And as this is going on, Kate is also labeling these various arrowheads. This way, she knows which ones that she's using. It's something that happened in the very first episode where she was telling Clint that he really needs to label the arrows so she knows that she's using, an acid one, an explosive one. So, there's that. There's that callback to the first or second episode. But anyways, as it goes on, we get this montage of them making these various arrows. Then we cut to a caravan of trucks for the Trusted Bro moving company, the front for everything that's going on under Kingpin's control because of this gala, this Christmas party. And Kate and Clint are also going to this Christmas gala, Christmas party. And at the same time, Jack has been released from jail. So at this party, per arrangements by Kate and Clint, the LARPs are there. You have Wendy, you have Missy, you have Grills, and you have Orville. Man, I can't wait for the Orville to come back. I can't wait for season 3. You have the caravan of trucks, and they're standing by to do what they want. Even one of the guys says Red 1 standing by. Well, I was looking for Red 5 standing by. So at this party, the LARPs are looking for Eleanor to try to get her to safety, and Clint and Kate are looking around at this party, and Clint even asks Kate, so what are your non-threats and what are your threats? So Kate points out a few non-threats, and the non-threats are the LARPs, Wendy, Missy, Orville, and Grills. And of course, the threats, well, she sees Jack, and she's surprised to see him out of jail, but we find out how he got out of jail when he's talking to Armand Duquesne VII, saying that Armand Duquesne VII's father broke him out of jail. So now that we know how he got out of jail, we move on to where Orville is collecting coats for all the partygoers, and up shows Yelena, and he asks if he can take her coat, and she declines, and we then lead up to a meeting between Yelena and Kate at an elevator, because at this time Clint and Kate are going, separate so that their mission can be accomplished. And in the meantime, the Trostopro moving guys are getting out of their trucks, and Kazi's on top of a building, actually inside a building, and he's putting together a rifle and a scope so he can be a sniper and go after Clint. So, as that's going on, and Yelena and Kate see each other, Yelena tells Kate that she's there to, eat some appetizers and kill Clint Barton. Kate ends up following Yelena into the elevator. The two of them have a fight. There's even a sequence where Kate is pressing all the buttons on the elevator so it won't move. And they eventually arrive on the floor that they're on, and they're fighting. In the meantime, Clint is talking to Wendy, and he notices the laser sight from the scope, and it's shining on his chest and also a few champagne glasses, and he tells Wendy to duck, and there's gunfire. So there's that going on that end of the building. The other end of the building, you have Yelena and Kate fighting back and forth. A few Marvel humor instances in there because it's Disney, it's Marvel. Let's just throw it in there just for the sake of throwing it in there, even if Mike doesn't like it. So we've got that going on, and Clinton, he's shooting off his arrows, and one of them actually goes into the building where Kazi is, and it's a purple smoke arrow, so there's that delay. And then of course the Trusted Bro tracksuit guys come in, they're shooting at Clint. Clint is, trying to run for his dear life, but at the same time he's planting various explosives, much like I do when I'm playing State of Decay 2. Plant an explosive here, plant an explosive there. Here comes a juggernaut, here comes a zombie. Wait for the right moment, and bam. Yeah, that's how I do it. So you have that happening, and Clint hits the detonator, takes care of the Trusted Bro guys. At one point, he gets into a fight with Kazi, and Kazi is dead set on killing him. Well, it doesn't go well for Kazi. Kazi gets his ass kicked. As far as Yelena and Kate are concerned, well, Yelena is able to jump out of a window after one of the arrows that Kate shoots breaks the glass of the window, and then Yelena lays down some repelling wire and starts running slash repelling down the side of the building where Clint is, where he's shooting out his arrows, and Kate is looking, and she yells at Clint, telling him to watch out, Yelena's coming, and of course she has her Bluetooth earpiece in her ear, Yelena tries to shoot Clint, but she misses. Yelena gets away, but hot in pursuit after going down the rappelling line. Kate follows her, and then Clint, he's trying to get out of the building, and he's got a wire going from one building to the other. But unfortunately for him, his wire gives away, and he ends up in the Rockefeller Center tree. He's in there, and there's an owl in there. He says, "Hey" to the owl. So you've got Kate going after Yelena. She loses sight of Yelena, and then you have all these trusted bro tracksuit guys coming to the ice rink at Rockefeller Center, and they're all ready to kick both Clint and Kate's ass. The only problem is Clint's still stuck in the tree. Kate is not. Kate actually, at one point, was in a toy store, and she throws a tricycle out toward a window and breaks this window, and then uses a few of her arrows on the tracksuit guys. She uses an acid arrow on the tree to get Clint down, and the star on the tree that barely misses Clint when it comes down, and you have a sequence where Kate and Clint are going around shooting various arrows. They're shooting a shockwave arrow, the magnet arrow, the pin arrow, shrinking a truck, and explosives, this, that, and the other. Then at one point, Kate is able to leave the scene because Clint and Kate have taken care of all the tracksuit guys. Except there's one problem when Clint tries to escape. Yelena finds him and she tackles him, and they both land on the ice. They're fighting, and of course, Yelena is blaming Clint for the loss of Natasha, and she actually takes out a rod and just starts beating the crap out of him. Meanwhile, Kate is back up top, and she sees her mom. And who else does she see with her mom? Well, she sees Kingpin there because Kingpin has found Eleanor, who was inside a car, and the driver's killed. And Kingpin pulls Eleanor out of the car. Kate tells Kingpin, "Get away from my mom." And there's a fight between Kingpin and Kate. And of course, Kingpin starts throwing Kate around like a rag doll. Now, Kate stands no chance against a guy the size of Kingpin, and with everything going on, he's having no problem handling her. I mean, look at the size of Kingpin, look at the strength of Kingpin, and like I said, he's throwing her around like a rag doll. Even breaks all her arrows at one point. So, as that's going on, Clint is trying to speak to Yelena as he's getting his butt whooped. At one point, when Yelena's done kicking his ass, she ends up doing the whistle that was the whistle between her and Natasha. So she does one part of the whistle, Clint does the other part, and that's where Yelena says, "How do you know that?" And then that's when Clint explains, "Because Natasha taught it to me. Natasha sacrificed herself. She was better than me." And they finally come to an understanding. Yelena even asks Clint, "What did my sister say about me?" And Clint says, "Well, when Natasha was flying the plane," and yes, this is also going into spoilers for Black Widow right here, so if you haven't seen Black Widow, I'm letting you know right now, this is spoiler territory right here. Yelena is told from Clint's point of view of what Natasha told him about when her family was escaping after the events of Black Widow in the very beginning of Black Widow, that all Natasha cared about was making sure that Yelena was safe when she was flying the plane. Yelena and Clint come to terms of a peace, and there's also a part where Maya shows up, And Maya takes out a couple of the tracksuit guys and Kazi after Kazi and her communicate, and Maya says, "You can come with me. You can get away from this life." And Kazi says, "I'm too deep." Well, Kazi ends up dying. And then there's a scene with Kingpin walking away slowly because he's injured. He's limping. He's wounded. He's obviously wounded. You have Maya pull up in a Trusted Bro van. She gets out, and Kingpin says, "Maya, we're family. We can get through this." There are times when families disagree, and the reason why he's saying there are times when families disagree is because he looks down and he sees that Maya has a gun in her hand, and she lifts it up and points it right at Kingpin, and then the camera cuts away and you hear a single gunshot. And then the episode cuts to the Barton compound, the Barton household, and we see this red vehicle pull up. Out of the driver's side is Clint. He goes to the back of the vehicle, pulls out a few Christmas gifts. Then he says, "You coming?" And we see Kate. Because one of the things that we see before they actually cut to this scene is Clint telling Kate that sometimes you meet somebody and they bring out the best in you. Of course, in that same scene, Eleanor is arrested and charged with the murder of Armand Duquesne III. Eleanor even says to Kate, "Is this how family treats each other on Christmas? Is this how heroes work? They arrest their mothers?" So, getting back to the Barton, household, the compound, Clint shows up. The kids are actually surprised to see that Clint showed up on Christmas. And, of course, Kate's there. Clint introduced Kate, and he also introduces, the dog. And even Kate says the name of the dog, Lucky. And, of course, having had a golden retriever, I have a soft spot for golden retrievers. Can't help it. They get there, they have Christmas with Laura and the kids, and at one point, Clint pulls out the watch that was stolen at the auction, and on the back of the watch is the Shield emblem. And he hands it to Laura, and he says, "Don't lose your things." And she says, "I could say the same thing about you." So then there's a scene where it's just Kate and Clint, and they're by their grill, and on the grill is the Ronin suit. Clint feels that Kate should be there with him, as the whole Ronin thing started with him, then restarted with her, and now it's coming to an end as he pours some lighter fluid onto the suit, lights a match, and watches it burn. And as it's burning, the two of them walk away. And Kate starts coming up with different names, Lady Hawk and some other names like that, and Clint rejects them. And that's the end of the episode. Now, what did I think of the episode? Oh, well, it it was okay. It honestly wasn't okay. It just was. It was there for me. It was just there. You know, I really felt that if they wanted to do it, they should have done it, because I said it in my review of the very first episode, and I've continued to say it, that they really should have made this a movie. I think it would have worked much better as a movie instead of a 6-episode miniseries. Because, I'm sorry, 6 episodes does not constitute a season, in my opinion. 6 episodes is more like a miniseries. So, this series could have been so much better as a movie. And yes, there were some good parts of this episode, And let's face it, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin wasn't too bad. And the scene where you see Kate and Clint putting together the various arrows, with the magnets, the acid, the pepper spray, snow, the ice, various other ingredients, that was good. The fact that, you had Eleanor, she's so entrenched into what's going on that she thinks, she can just walk away and everything's going to go back to normal. And of course, it's not. And also the redemption of Jack, since Jack was framed in this whole mess. And also seeing Maya turn, I knew what was going to happen because they'd already announced that there was going to be a series with the character called Echo. So I knew that was going to happen. But my whole thing about this whole series is it would have better started itself as a movie. If they wanted to put Kate in the movie, fine, put her in the movie, maybe toward the end, because I'm going to say it, because I've been saying it, that this whole thing should have revolved around Natasha and Clint and Budapest. It should have, revolved around their first meetup, and we go through that and we find out why Clint couldn't kill her at the end and how they started to become friends. And then at the very end, you can, come to the present and you can see Kate and she's meeting Clint or something like that. But I really do feel that this would have been much better as a movie. I think it's something that the character of Hawkeye deserved, considering, Hawkeye really didn't get too much in the Avengers movies. It would have been, an action-oriented movie for sure. Yes, I know he doesn't have superpowers, but you could have still make it, an action-oriented spy movie if you wanted to, especially, having Scarlett Johansson there as Natasha Romanoff. But no, that's not the route they went. And if I'm gonna rate this episode, out of 5 stars, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. That's just it. Again, my biggest gripe with this whole series has been that if you were going to do anything like this, it should have been a feature film, not a 6-episode miniseries. Even if you are going to call it a season, it's one of those things where I think Disney was so desperate to get something on Disney Plus that they said, "Oh, we're changing the rules." Yeah, let's see, Jeremy Renner. Yeah, we need you to agree to new terms to your contract, which he did, and allow us to make your Hawkeye movie into a miniseries. It's completely different than what they did by putting Black Widow on Disney Plus and charging people $30 just to watch it. Not me. I waited till it was available for free, and then I watched it. Then I reviewed it, and you can watch the review here on the channel. And if you like it, fine. If you don't like it, fine. And same with this review. Same with any review I do. If you like them, good. If you don't like them, that's okay. So, in this final statement for Hawkeye, again, I'm gonna keep saying it. It would have suited itself better as a full, 2 hour, 2.5 hour movie, if that, instead of 6-episode miniseries. I just really think they dropped the ball when it came to making this series. The fact that at the end, Clint pretty much tells Kate that you're the bestest ever, and that you need someone to tell you that you're the best, and that's pretty much what he did. Well, that's just the trope that we see in a lot of shows nowadays. And honestly, I would have loved for it to be more of a, master and apprentice type of deal where Clint passed on all his teachings. Not to say he didn't in this series. He passed on some of his teachings, especially when Kate ended the fight with Kingpin by taking a metal clip and flicking it, and it actually hits one of the arrows and causes all those arrows to activate, whether they're explosives or electricity, magnets. They activate and it knocks Kingpin down, and that's what led to us seeing Kingpin limping and barely able to walk before Maya either did or didn't do away with him, because we don't know if he's dead. We don't know if he's still alive, because all we heard was one gunshot. We don't know that she necessarily killed him. But, would I go back and rewatch this series? Maybe. Maybe. I'll give it some time, and then I'll go back and rewatch it and see how I feel about it afterwards. Will I do a video about it? Probably not. But, again, a ball was literally dropped when making this series instead of making it a movie. I really do. And that's been my biggest hang up on this. And I haven't shied away from it. I know some people like this series. That's fine. You can like what you like. That's fine. Like I said before. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You like it, you like it. Say that one last time. So, in conclusion, this is a series that would have been better off as a movie, and certain things could have been done so much better, and that's the master and apprentice relationship, and also Kingpin. Come on, you bring in a villain like Kingpin, and you have one full episode, and you either do or don't take him out just like that? Nah, he's too big of a villain to just, throw away like that. He's too entrenched into Marvel history to just, make him a one-off thing, make him a one-time thing. I'm going to go ahead and conclude this review. If you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. If you have differing opinions, well, let me know down in the comment section below. You can also find me on social media. The links will be down in the description below. And if you like this video or any other video here on the channel, then please subscribe to the channel. I do episode reviews, movie reviews, gameplay, and during the baseball season, I talk about the Chicago Cubs' latest game. And during the off season, I talk about the latest news going around Major League Baseball. Unfortunately, it's more rumor than news right now with the lockout. So until something, goes further with the collective bargaining agreement negotiations, I will probably not have an episode of the Box Score to really talk about for a while until things change. So, thank you all very much. Have a good rest of your day, and I hope you all had yourselves a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, and until next time, take care, and you're always a 414. Thank you.